Welcome everybody to the Unapologetic Truth, the channel where we speak the truth and don't apologize for it. Why? Because the truth never apologizes. All right, today we're gonna get into how the elites control people, will control our food, and how they control people, right? All right, so a lot of people don't know about these 5G towers. I mean, some information came out, but I don't think people went deep enough for people to understand what does this thing do. Also, if you speak out about it, a lot of you might end up being arrested. That's why you haven't really seen people speaking about these 5G towers being put up all over the United States. Not just the United States, but all over the globe. We're all over the world, right? Alright, so we're gonna dive right into it. I'm gonna explain to you what ELF is. Basically, it's extremely low frequency. This is what they use with the 5G. I'm just gonna give you an overview before we watch the clip, so you get the understanding what this 5G tower does, right? All right. ELF, extremely low frequency. It's the band of radio frequency. This is why they did away with that. But they didn't do away with it. They took our frequency away from radio frequencies and put it on broadband and things like that, because they're using the radio frequencies for a different reason. And I'm gonna explain to you that reason why they're doing it. Now, okay, extremely low frequency, or ELF, is the band of radio frequencies from 3 to 300 hertz. The United States Navy has used ELF very successfully in communicating with their submerged submarines. Submarines are blocked from the most electromagnetic signals because of electrical conductivity of salt water. However, communications in the ELF range are able to penetrate much more deeply. ELF is quite limited in its use in ordinary communications for the very reason that it is useful to signal submarines. It is extremely low transmission rate. Its extremely low transmission rate will require enormously large antenna, 5G towers, in order to communicate over long distances or internationally. The government constructed and maintained 2 sites in the Chickamauga National Forest, Wisconsin, and Escanaba State Forest, Michigan, each utilizing power lines as antennas stretching from 14 to 28 miles in length. Ecologists became concerned about environmental conditions and human health problems resulting from the great amounts of electricity generated and emitted by ELF. And in 1984, a federal judge ordered construction halted until further studies could be made and evaluated. In spite of the U.S. Navy's protesting that they have invested over $25 million in studying the effects of ELF and have found their frequencies no more harmful to the environment and humans than standard power lines. The antenna were ordered dismantled beginning in 2004, right? But they haven't dismantled anything. They have been doing this research in private, behind closed doors, so they won't get caught. But now they have made these 5G towers, which emit ELF, low frequencies. These frequencies are used to control a person's mind. Also give health problems. So we're going to dive into this and see what these 5G tower does to a person, and what they would do to you if you speak out against it. All right, let's go.
They're revealing its brand new crowd control instrument.
A group of scientists, doctors, environmental organizers, and concerned citizens got together and they called for the urgent stop to the deployment of 5G. They said that it's been proven harmful to human bodies, that this is an experiment on humanity, and that this should be called a crime under international law.
Well, there's good news and bad news. The bad news is that we have over 113 million people that are marching toward the brink of starvation, when we only had 80 million just 3 years ago. So that is a serious issue. And the question there is, what's driving that? The answer is seriously simple: man-made conflict. People are hungry. You have destabilization. We know that. And we've got solutions.
The more America goes to conflict with other countries, the more money they have to spend, the more the dollar is devaluated, the more the dollar will crash. This is their plan. They plan to crash the dollar. Once the dollar crashes, guess what? No one around the earth will accept American dollars anymore, because why? It's not worth anything. Which in all reality, the American dollar is not worth anything regardless, because first of all, it was used to be worth something back in the days. Back in the days, the American dollar was backed by gold. So whatever you had, that's how much gold it was backed by, right? See, now it doesn't say legal gold tender anymore. If you look at the old dollar bills, it would say legal gold tender. Now it says legal debt tender, which means every dollar you have is backed by debt, not gold. So the American dollar really is worthless, to be honest with you. But the more we go into wars, the more the dollar devaluates, and there's no more. So if there's no more dollar, how would you be able to feed your family? How would you be able to do the things that you want to do? Travel, or buy clothes, or pay bills, pay rent. Do you see what I'm saying? This is what the elites want. This is why they give you these stimulus checks. This is to desensitize you and put you in a position where you need the government for everything. You need the government to pay your bills, your rent, for food, to pay car notes, whatever. You need the government for this. They want your dependence on them. That way they can control you more. If they control every aspect of a person's life, guess what? They control that person. They can stop anything they want to stop you from getting. All right, let's get back to the video.
So what we need is more money, and number two, we need for these man-made conflicts to end. If we can end the wars, we can, in my opinion, end global hunger by 2030. But without that, we'll never achieve our goals and objectives.
Take a look at this. One man in Sugar Creek, Missouri, planted his garden in order to grow his...
Listen to this. It's all about control. Remember, it's all about control. This is what the elites want. They want to control every aspect of your life. Listen to this.
...own food. But now he must destroy it by tomorrow or face a fine thanks to a new city ordinance.
The city of Sugar Creek passed this ordinance 3 days ago, restricting the use of agriculture on front yards. But this family believes that their garden is being unfairly targeted and is at the root of this issue.
There's a radish right there.
To say Nathan Athens loves his garden would be an understatement. I spend all my free time out here. I don't know, I'll probably say about 300 hours.
It's important for his family.
I want my family to know where their food's coming from. I don't want to have to go to the grocery store and worry about what was done to that food.
But neighbors and city officials don't see the garden the same way.
Who owns the rain? Turns out, not you. You're actually breaking the law if you try to capture rain falling under your roof and pour it on your flower bed.
Control. No one owns rain, but you are freely to do whatever you want with the rain. If you want to catch rainwater, you can. But according to the elites, you can't. You can't grow food in your... You might own the house and the land the house is on, but the government tells you, the elite, not the government, but the elite tells you, where they tell the government to tell you that you can't do what you want to do with your own property. With your own property. You don't own anything according to them. They own what you have, and they get to tell you whatever they want to tell you to do with your property. And you have to abide by it. This is America.
A prominent Utah car dealer found that out when he tried to do something good for the environment.
Rebecca Nelson captures rainwater in a barrel and she pours it on her plants.
We can fill up a barrel in one rainstorm, so it seems a waste to let it just fall onto the gravel.
Car dealer Mark Miller wanted to do pretty much the same thing on a bigger scale. He collects rainwater on the roof of his new building, stores it in a cistern, and hopes to clean cars with it in a new water-efficient car wash. But without a valid water right, state officials say he can't legally divert rainwater.
I was surprised. We thought it was our water.
State officials say it's an old legal concept to protect people who do have water rights.
Obviously, if you use the water upstream, it won't be there for the person to use it downstream.
Utah is the second driest state in the nation. Our laws probably ought to catch up to that.
It's your land and the government wants it. Now what?
Channel 5 Cecilia Gutierrez.
You cannot catch rainwater. Something that's abundant. You cannot catch rainwater. It's illegal. You can be fined or jailed for catching or rediverting rainwater. That's crazy. Now, like I said, you heard what she just said. The government owns your property, which is really the elite, but they're using the government as puppets. They own your property. Let's see what she has to say.
Explains you can fight, but have few choices when it comes to eminent domains.
Is a cell tower going up in your neighborhood? If it's not now, it may soon. Wireless carriers are installing millions of them across the country to enable the new, faster 5G cell phone technology. But tonight, Julie Watts asked the question you're not supposed to ask. Are there legitimate health concerns?
13-year-old Sophia has been one of many petitioning the city council to deny this cell tower and others.
I'm also a brain cancer survivor, and I am against the cell towers.
I mostly talked about my cancer and how it affected me.
But according to federal law, the city simply can't consider health concerns. It's outlined in this small section of the Telecommunications Act, based on science from 1996,
to turn your phone on or off.
back when this was the height of technology. But if cities do consider health, the cell companies can sue. So with few legal arguments to deny a cell tower, they're popping up outside bedroom windows and school campuses, despite objections from across the country.
Things are kicking off in Sheffield.
Are you proud of your city?
People have taken to the streets. They're getting arrested.
Now you see what's going on here. A lot of people is protesting 5G cell towers putting up in people's neighborhoods, right in front of schools. There's a reason why they chose these locations. It's the best place to put it where it's the abundance of people that lives, or be around or hang out. Now, you see this going on here, which is people who are protesting these towers, right? They want this to happen. This is what they want to happen. And the reason I say this is what they want to happen is moving them one step closer to establishing martial law. This is why they do the things they do to get the people riled up to do this. It's easier for them to call for a state of emergency, martial law, when this is going on, not just in one area, but across the country. If this wasn't going on, they don't have no leeway into establishing martial law. They don't have a reason. So they give you a reason. It's just something for you to think about.
They've been taken to court. But they're not backing down.
Is defending our rights in our own street.
And this is the reason. A private company employed by the council is cutting down thousands of what many people say are perfectly healthy trees.
Good morning, it's Toby at Breakfast. It's BBC Radio Sheffield, where this morning we're asking, what do you make of the way that Sheffield Council is handling the tree round, the 5 o'clock raids?
Council workers arrived in the middle of the night to chop down trees.
The police turned up, knocked on people's doors and told them to get out.
The 74-year-old man arrested for...
Knocked on people's doors and told them to get out of their own house that they own. Are you hearing me? Of their own house that they own. They told them to get out. Let's see why.
Witness intimidation.
This is complete nonsense. Complete nonsense.
I mean, I've been bored by 74-year-olds. I've never been intimidated by one.
I can use force or arrest you.
It's become a war of attrition involving politicians, a private company, the police, and people.
Trees for Georgetown would like to express its concern for the potential damage to DC street trees by the 5G small cell installation. With regard to the placement of standalone poles vis-a-vis street trees, the draft design guidelines call for these poles to be aligned with street lights, third-party poles, and street trees in order to maintain a visual and physical organization of structures within the right-of-way. Trees for Georgetown supports the guidelines in that these standalone poles should not be placed where it limits the ability of the District of Columbia to plant a street tree in the future, regardless of whether the district plans to plant a tree in that location at the time the application is submitted. We further support the guidelines in that a standalone pole should not be placed within the critical root zone of existing trees. Street trees should not be removed nor have their critical root zones comprised for the installation of any small cell infrastructure.
You can't see it, hear it, or smell it, but it makes unruly mobs do this. The Defense Department's active denial system, a non-lethal weapon that can be used to control crowds, secure perimeters, and keep...
It admits ELF waves. Did you see what happens to that crowd when they emitted the ELF waves? This is what 5G cell tower is capable of. This is the type of technology that the 5G tower is capable of. This is the reason why they put it up there. It's not to give you fast internet. Come on, man, that's the front. These are weapons of war. If you don't believe me, you need to do some extensive research yourself. These are weapons of war against the American people. I'm really hoping that you're getting what I'm trying to convey to you, because it's very imperative that you understand and you listen and you hear these people, because they're giving you information that you need to know, that you can tell your children, you can tell your neighbors, you can tell your friends, you can tell your family members. Because everyone needs to know, and everyone has to have a voice for them not to do this.
pirates at bay. It could be a game changer.
This is one of the things that we can shoot first and ask questions later. Normally you can't do that.
The military says the active denial system is not radioactive, it's not a microwave, and it's not a laser beam. It's instead a man-sized beam of millimeter waves that can be fired from up to 1,000 meters away that are designed to get the subject, whoever's standing on this X, really, really hot so that they move.
Bring in the heat.
And it's about 50 degrees out here right now, but I just felt like it was about 1,000, and I've never been inside a tub that somebody dropped a hairdryer in, but I would imagine that that's what it feels like.
However, some believe 5G will give out radiation. 5G is a crowd control frequency device.
The wireless industry is in a race to roll out 5G service. Now, 5G is supposed to be up to 100 times faster than current data speeds. Could have used it on Amtrak yesterday. But it requires cell phone tower equipment to be closer to users than ever before. And that is causing outrage and alarm in some neighborhoods as antennas go up around the homes.
But get this, wireless companies in the U.S. say they'll have to install about 300,000 new antennas for the rollout of 5G. That is roughly equal to the total number of cell phone towers built over the past 3 decades. The faster network could create new potential for work and play, but it's also leading to new concerns.
Now, you have to understand, in order for them to accomplish their goal, they have to give you something that you can be excited about. They're not going to tell you that, oh, it admits ELF waves to control people. They're not going to say that. They're going to tell you, oh, it makes your internet 100 times faster, and your cell phone's 100 times faster, and you don't have to wait 2-3 minutes for it to load up, and this and that. They will tell you that, but they will not tell you what they really putting these cell towers up for. So they have to bait you in. This is what they do with a lot of things. They have to bait you in. And once they bait you in, guess what? They won. This is why they say it has to be closer to users. And they put in 300,000 across the country. More than that, actually. This is the reason why they're putting it around local businesses, around people's homes, around schools, around churches, because this is where the people go and congregate. This is where the people go in masses to these different places. So say for instance, something happened to where people want to start protesting, no matter if it's protesting or looting or whatever. They're going to use these 5G cell towers to emit ELF waves to either control your mind or to overheat you. You heard what the guy said. It was 15 degrees out there, but it felt like that it was 1,000 times more than that. It feels like when you're in the tub and you throw something that's plugged in the wall in the tub, that's how it feels. These cell towers has that type of capability to do these things. This is why they put them in these type of populations.
5G requires the installation of new equipment across the U.S.
So this pole here is 5G. This is the future right here.
You got it.
Every wireless company is working to build its own 5G network. Melissa Arnoldi leads AT&T's efforts.
If you don't already have one of these in your neighborhood, they're coming.
That's absolutely right. They're coming.
She says 5G uses high-frequency waves that support faster speeds, but don't travel as far as current wireless.
Listen to what they just said. High-frequency waves. Forget the other words. Forget faster speeds. and don't travel as far, they're lying. Because if low frequency waves travel a good amount of distance, then you should understand that high frequency waves travel even further. High frequency waves.
Wireless frequencies. So instead of relying on large cell phone towers spread far apart, they need small cell sites that are much closer together.
We're going to use our existing infrastructure today, whether it's light poles, whether it's street lights. We're going to make sure that we don't make it obtrusive to our customers and to the citizens.
Yet some don't share the enthusiasm.
The cell towers are called small cell towers, but they're not so small when they're in your front yard.
Donna Barron is protesting plans to convert light poles in her Montgomery County, Maryland neighborhood into small cell sites.
This will cause cancer.
She was one of several people who raised health concerns at a government hearing last month.
This stuff is untested on kids. Their safety is not certain.
These untested technologies are, at this time, not ready to be unleashed into our lives.
Cell phone equipment emits radiation, but research on its health effects has been inconsistent. According to the National Cancer Institute, a limited number of studies have shown some evidence of statistical association of cell phone use and brain tumor risks. But most studies have found no association.
Well, Ken and Liz, as you know, throughout all of 2019, we've been hearing tech companies and cell phone companies talking about all the excitement about 5G and the race to get there first. But tonight in Moraga, they're talking about the fight against it. Many people here say they don't want it.
Sitting at her home office, Ellie Marks has a device that measures her RF exposure. She's surrounded by campaign materials that she's used in a decade of pushing back against ever-expanding cell phone towers. For her, the fight is personal. Her husband started using a cell phone in 1986 and developed a brain tumor in 2008.
Used it all the time, held it to his right ear, and the tumor developed right where he held the phone.
Researchers do not agree right now about what constitutes safe RF exposure. The FCC and cell phone companies maintain radiation exposure from cell phones is not dangerous.
The FCC is lying to the public.
So far, the phone company Sprint shut down a cell phone tower on the campus of a California elementary school after some parents said it may be linked to several recent cases of childhood cancer. Now, those families at Weston Elementary School.
Listen to this story, because this is a true story. You can go on the internet, on Google, and research this story. What I'm trying to convey to you is that this is how the elite is going to control the population. This is part of, I don't know if you heard of Georgia Guidestones, where it says how to stabilize Earth. And on the big large slab of stone, number 4 is keep population under 500 million. 500 million. We have billions, a couple billion of people on this earth. So how are they gonna dwindle the population down to that much by these type of things here? 5G cell towers. World hunger is what we talked about, what they showed before this. So before you invite the 5G cell towers into your neighborhood, in front of your home, think about it. Because it emits so much radiation and waves, high frequency waves, to either control you or to make you have health problems.
School in Ripon claimed the tower could have exposed their kids to harmful radiation.
Rolling out powerful 5G technology throughout the United States. However,
Some studies show a link between cell phone radiation and cancer.
5G is coming to LA, and the new cell towers that are needed to accommodate that are popping up all over the city.
Yes, but what does that mean for the people who have to live right next to them? Two on your sides, Christine Lazar is here with a look at the potential risks of these towers.
And when I say right next to them, I mean literally right next to them. Now imagine waking up one day, looking out your window and seeing a cell tower just feet from your dining room.
Some people prefer an ocean view or a view of city lights or maybe the mountains, but it's safe to say that almost no one would dream of a view like this.
And I thought, my God, what is that? It looked like science fiction from the 50s or something. It's enormous.
It is an AT&T 5G capable cell tower across the street from an elementary school and right outside John Ireland's third floor condo in Sherman Oaks.
Regardless of whether you like 5G or 4G or whatever G you like, it's absolutely the ugliest thing in the world, and it sits right outside our dining room window. In fact, I can see it from the couch, too.
A couch John and his neighbors gathered around one afternoon as they discussed ways to get rid of the tower. The city approved the cell tower back in August. AT&T will pay the city $787 a year to lease the space on an existing light pole.
There was no advance notice whatsoever. We saw them digging, and the next thing we know, there was this giant thing on the lamppost.
John's wife is a two-time cancer survivor.
And they put this monster out there, right next to where I sit at a dining room table, right next to the chair where I watch television.
The American Cancer Society says there is very little evidence to support the idea that cell phone towers can cause cancer, but there have been
Remember, they will not tell you the truth about what that actually does and what it's actually used for. They won't tell you the truth. If they tell you the truth, guess what you will do? You will tell them you don't want it there, and you will protest, and you'll write posts on the internet. Internet is one of the biggest ways to get information around the earth. They don't want that kind of backlash. So, guess what? They will put it up there without you even knowing what they're doing. When you see workers out there working, even sometimes workers don't even know what they're doing. They're just doing what they was told to do. So be on the lookout for these towers. They can be made out of light poles, electricity poles. It doesn't matter. They will put these towers right next to you and your children. If you want to protect your children, you need to do your research on this information.
few studies on the effects in humans from nearby cell phone towers and the risk of cancer. Dr. Josh Neiman, a neuroscientist at USC Keck School of Medicine, says the science isn't settled.
So there are some studies that say, yes, cell phones and cell towers can give some type of radio frequency which can induce some type of cancer, but there are also other studies that contradict that.
There's some concern about, here it comes, 5G, health concerns over 5G that will soon be on my phone. What's the problem?
Well, first of all, it's a tremendous advance, and I want us to win the trade war on this. It's huge, 5G, because it's higher definition. The problem is that it's got to be closer to you. So we have to put in
physically closer.
Right. To go faster and to transmit more data, you have to have the tower closer to the phone. So we have to put in 300,000 new towers around the United States. They're going to be in the street lamps outside your house.
But isn't it a more powerful signal?
You already said it's going to be in street lamps outside your house, including light poles. Whatever it takes to put these towers up, they will do it.
That's coming to and going from my phone. Isn't that the nature of this health problem?
It's faster. It's not a more powerful signal because the waves themselves don't penetrate as far into your body as 2G and 3G.
Did you see how he just averted from the question that he asked? He asked about the health problems. He's talking about something else other than the question that the guy just asked him. They do that. They divert from the question and talk about something else because they don't want to tell you the real answer, so they have to find another way around the answer. They dance around the question.
But the problem is that the tower's going to be closer to you.
So what?
We don't know. Okay, they've done a huge study with 2G and 3G in mice, and they have found an increased risk of cellular changes that could lead to cancer. That's the concern.
Yeah, Joyce and Patrick, some of those people here in Greendale worried that these orange markers popping up all over town are in preparation for 5G technology. That is said to be faster than current data speeds, but requires cell phone towers to be closer to their users.
It's picking up radio frequency radiation.
Elaine Unger with Wisconsin for Safe Technology is showing me what kind of radiation we might be exposing ourselves to, just being near any wireless device.
And you can see that it's going into the red zone on the left side. And your cell phone is turned on, and it's doing this because it's emitting radio frequency radiation, also known as microwave radiation.
Unger lives in Greendale and stands with hundreds of scientists and doctors around the world who have signed a moratorium to stop the rollout of 5G wireless technology.
Now, see, that right there was just a cell phone. So imagine what the 5G towers would do. If the cell phone itself goes into the red zone, then the 5G towers will be off the charts.
That's said to be 100 times faster than 4G. Companies like AT&T and Verizon are competing to set up 5G in cities around the country, but they haven't touched Wisconsin yet. A spokesperson for Verizon told me they have no plans for 5G in Greendale and that these orange markers are to extend their 4G LTE service through underground fiber optic cables.
Remember, they will lie to you. They would tell you something else, but really, they really putting up those 5Gs. You're not going to know the difference. They do.
Unger, who has hardwired most of her home devices, wants safer technology and fears it's only a matter of time before 5G penetrates our homes and our schools.
They will need a crowd control frequency device when martial law comes.
Did not say that. It's a way to control the people once they start doing marching up and down the street protesting. I told you this. This is their plan. Their plan is to have these these mind control beams, heat wave control instruments put into place. So once people start doing these marches and protesting and looting, guess what? They have something that's going to control the crowd. This is the real reason they putting these towers up there. It's not to give you faster internet. It's to control the population. All this stuff that you're seeing right now, all of this stuff is coming. It's coming, so it's up to you to prepare. Prepare your family, prepare your friends, prepare your children. If you don't do it for yourself, do it for your children. Prepare. Because everything that I'm bringing out to you, it will happen. And it's happening right now, but slowly. They're rolling everything they need out. Every piece of the puzzle they putting in place until they're ready to put that last piece. Once they put that last piece, then you will have the full broad spectrum of what's really going on. Because they're not going to try to hide it anymore. Because their plan is complete. Wake up and realize what's going on around you. If not for you, for your children.
Response to UN President
Remember, when this so-called disease came out here in America, guess what? All the store shelves were empty. You couldn't find tissue. You couldn't find the essential things that you needed for your home. You can barely find the food that you eat. When martial law hits, they're not gonna have food brought here. They're not gonna have food trucks bringing food to the grocery stores. You're gonna have to depend on the government to eat. It's coming. And the best thing I can tell you right now, the best advice I can give you is prepare. That's the best advice I can give you right now. And remember, they will tell you that the revolution will not be televised. Remember all these actors and singers and actresses and, comedians, they always say the revolution will not be televised. It's a reason why they said this. It will not be shown to the rest of the earth. It will not be shown on the news channels. Even here in America, it will not be televised. It will not be shown. They don't want everybody to revolutionize themselves. They don't. So don't show these people that there are people out here starting a revolution.
Last night I dreamt about how things were. And then I woke up here.
So now, I implore you to do research on this. These 5G towers is no good. It's a part of the elite's plan for total control. To control the whole earth, you have to control the superpower of that earth. Who is that superpower? America. This is where every other nation says that if you want your dreams to come true, this is the place you gotta be. So this is the superpower of the earth. Guess what? To control the whole earth, you have to first control the head. Now, please like this video, share it with your family members, share it with your children. All of my videos are PG rated, so you can share it with your children so they can get the understanding. Share it with your family members, your friends, your neighbors. Share it. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. If you have not subscribed, tell your friends to subscribe. Tell your family members to subscribe, because I'm going to be bringing out more information on the things that the elite is doing in front of your face, but you can't see it. Like the saying goes, if you want to hide something, hide it in plain sight. That'll be the last place a person will look. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Trying to get the subscribers up, trying to get the likes up, so more people can see the video. So YouTube's algorithm can pick it up, put it in the feeds, so everyone have a chance to see these videos and everyone have a chance to wake up. Trust me, you can look on YouTube. I'm mainly the only one that's out here pushing this truth to the furthest I can push it. Once we hit 500 or more subscribers, I'm going to be taking trips. I'm going to be going out to different places like concentration camps and these different places, so you can get a first-hand look of what's going on. So let's get to 500 subscribers. I really appreciate all the ones who have subscribed. I really appreciate the support. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for commenting. I really appreciate it. But let's get this to 500 or more so I can go out, so I can have a reason to go out and show people these things firsthand. This is Unapologetic Truth, the channel where we speak the truth and don't apologize for it. Why? Because the truth never apologizes.